Part 2, making the dials. Taking a caliper and drawing out the face of the dial, and I actually had to do 2 lines because I got it too small to start with. But anyway, I'm going to get this cut out on the scroll saw. Here's the faces to our dials, and I've sprayed them already with 1 coat of this self-etching primer. It just helps paint stick to aluminum. And then I hit them with a little piece of 320 grit sandpaper on a little piece of wood to knock off any kind of nibs that might be sticking up. And now I'm going to hit them with a little bit of Rust-Oleum High Gloss White. So I've put together a temporary light box here, and the reason is this is our dial face and painted white, and so I've got to get these 2 holes lined up for the decal that I'm going to put on there. And this is the decal that we're using. I made this in Inkscape and then printed it out on some decal paper, and I'll put that in the description in case you need some decal paper. But this is, you can do this with a inkjet printer, and then you spray over the top of it with a clear lacquer. I just used a Rust-Oleum clear lacquer to go over the top of that. But I've got to transfer the holes that the screws go in to hold the gauge, because if I don't, when I go and I tighten those screws, it'll twist that decal and mess it up. So what I've done, and I've already done this actually, but so you put that on, and so the light will come through those tiny little holes. And then I get this lined up, and I took a straight edge and put it across those tiny little holes and lined it up on the edges over here. That got my decal straight, and then I just put some tiny little dots there to show me where the light's coming through, which is of course where the holes are. And then all I've got to do, then I need to punch those holes out, and I'm just using these hole punches. They're made for cutting, they'll cut even up to like aluminum, but I use them mainly for paper and gaskets and stuff like that. But so I'm just going to, I can actually look through here and line that up. Give it a tap and it cuts right through. A little bit smaller hole right here. This one I can't see through. Alright, I've got a pan of warm water here, and here's our dial. Here's one of the slide decals. I've cut it down just a little bit, and I've got my hands clean. And so I'm just going to dip that in the warm water, and it's now ready to slide. So I'm going to rinse that off just mainly to make sure I don't have any dust on it. And get this preliminarily lined up. Sort of like that. Ooh. Slide the paper out from under it, and then start getting it straightened out. Now, using a clean brayer really helps me to get this flattened out. Just working from the center out. Gets it pressed down really well. Okay, then I'm just going to set that aside and let it dry. Okay, you ever put things off that you're worried about? Okay, so I got to drill this little hole right here for this pin, and I've been putting this off because I'm kind of worried about I'm afraid I'm going to skitter off and mess up the face of this thing. I didn't want to do it in the beginning because I wasn't exactly sure where that point was going to wind up. So, okay. Alright, so I'm going to cover that up with some paper. Just in case a hot shaving comes off, I don't want it to burn the face of this thing. Then I can use these clamps to help hold it down. Okay. Okay, so I did skitter around there a little bit, but I have to make the hole bigger, so maybe I'll take up part of that horribleness with this bigger drill bit. So I think that's going to be sort of okay. So I think when I get that epoxied in place, it'll be good. I wish I had a little better finish there, but you know, I don't. So, but I think that's going to work for what I need. All right, let's try another one. This time we're just going to start out with the bigger drill. I think that works better. So these are the posts. That's the post right there. I just took a little piece of 1/4-inch brass rod and stuck it into a piece of aluminum, put a little epoxy on it and stuck it in there. Or I think I super glued that. And so that gives me, when I put it in the back here, it gives me a little foot to glue down. So I can push that down like that. And there. Okay, I think that's going to work. I can breathe.